Hey there, let's talk a little bit about the astrological signs that are indicated on the moon calendar. So at the bottom of the moon calendar, there are the 12 astrological signs. Let's see if I can figure this out. Get a little bit closer for you so you can see them. They are Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. And that is the order of the signs. And that is the wheel of the zodiac. So they're always going to go in that order. And as I mentioned in the previous video with the moon passes through those signs in that order, and it happens every 2 to 3 or 4 days. It's just constantly spinning, and it will go through those signs in that order. The sun passes through the signs in that same order, but in a much slower way, and always at the same time. So let me make that clear for a moment. So in this 2020 calendar, you can see on January 1, it's a little hard to see in gray right there, but the sun is in Capricorn. That's not when it goes into Capricorn, but it's just, I'm letting you know that it's already in Capricorn. And it ends, and it transitions to Aquarius on January 20th. That was in 2020. So in 2021, also on January 1, you can see the sun, the little gray symbol up there, is in Capricorn. So Capricorn season is always at that time of year. And again, it will transition to Aquarius at the specific times, not always the exact same date, but it happens to be on the 19th of January in 2021 in Pacific Standard Time. So there are the solar seasons, and that's when someone says, oh, are you a Gemini? Are you a Leo? All of that. So we have those general seasons that will last for about a month that the sun goes through. And so can be a big energetic. I've found that, and then you have to tune into like your own seasons of like what you resonate with and what you like. So like my birthday is in June, but the summer is not a great season for me. It tends to be very low energy. But I start feeling quite good, or sometimes I'll have a little, I shouldn't say quite good always, it just depends, but I'll sometimes have a little burst of energy sort of in that late July heading into August. I mean, that can be a very hot time of year. It can be super intense for summer. But that is Leo season, and Leo is like this fire sign, love shining and all of that. But I think it's interesting that even though summer's hard for me, I'll often create something kind of new right around that time of year. So it can be interesting to tune into the solar seasons as well of what's happening. And so those are there. And then the moon, it's different every time. So let me show you January 1 again. This one, it starts in Leo on January 1st in 2021, but in 2020, let me show it there, it was in Pisces. So, it is just constantly passing through them, and that will kind of lay over the year. So here is how I use the signs. Is I do not rely on them super heavily. I think it's fun to look at them sometimes. And I've touched on that in some of the videos where just conversationally it has come up. I do love knowing the signs of the new moon and the full moon. And as I mentioned, it even says this right on the calendar, that the new moon is the same as the sun sign. So the new moon that happens during Gemini is going to be Gemini new moon. And then the full moon that happens during Gemini is going to be the opposite, which is Sagittarius. And so there's that aspect that will always be true. So that's kind of cool. And I do find that those energies can be really intensified. And so I love it when, since I'm a Gemini and partial towards my sign, during Sagittarius season, that there will be a Gemini full moon, and it's sort of like, ooh, that can be fun party time, you know? And it usually is like in that late December holiday get together sort of time. So sometimes it can be fun to go like, oh, maybe I'll plan some sort of social gathering if we're allowed to, right around then or something like that. So you can use the signs as you will. And this is kind of up to you of how much you even know about the signs and what information you can start picking up on. When on the calendar, I have the signs in the 2 columns next to each other so that you can see how they partner with each other and what their kind of quote unquote opposite sign is, the one that's across the wheel from it. And, you know, it's really cool to make some inferences about that. So like the first sign, Aries, it's a fire sign, and the opposite sign is Libra, which is an air sign. And so the fire and the air signs are always partnered together. And then the earth and the water signs are always partnered together. So they're always opposite that way. So you're never going to get like a fire and a water. And so I think it's really cool. Like it just gets me to ponder, what is that relationship between fire and air? You know, how they kind of work together and can contrast each other, but it might be too much of a contrast, maybe the fire and water. I don't know, you know, like just what I just sit with that. I like being philosophical sometimes and pondering that. Whereas like earth and water, how they have some of their opposites and then some of their similarities and how they work together and what that relationship looks like. So, and then it also goes into, you know, on the calendar, it mentions the planets that each of the signs is connected with too. So Aries is with Mars and Libra is with Venus. And so that's really kind of cool to see those energetics at play. It can be, you can use that information for, like, say there is a full moon or new moon in Libra, and knowing that Libra is connected with Venus, maybe make a little altar and make a little offering to Venus on that day or something like that. So you can use the information in that type of way. In general, I would say the fire signs are extremely passionate and they're quite focused, so not easily distracted, much more like, okay, I know what to do, and then they just start going and doing it, and not necessarily a lot of pre-thought and logistics. I'm not talking about people here, just sort of talking about the energetics of the fire signs. So if you get deep into this and are enjoying working with the moon calendar and want to bring an added layer, maybe that's something that you bring in of like, okay, I want to do my goal setting or starting new projects when the moon is in a fire sign, or you know, I don't know how this translates for you, because I don't like I said, I don't work as deeply with the signs, but I like knowing what the signs are because sometimes I feel the influence of that. So, you know, you could work with any of the fire signs. And same thing like with the earth signs. So like the like Taurus is an earth sign listed on here, also connects to Venus. So it's not only that one sign connects to one planet, you know, both Libra and Taurus are with Venus, just like both Virgo and Gemini are with Mercury. So that earth energy is super grounded. I mean, for lack of a better term, let's just say it like it is, you know, just very grounded, doesn't move super quickly. Tends to be a bit more thoughtful and connected to nature. So if that type of information helps you and want to work with the moon in a certain type of way when it's in that sign, that can be beautiful energy to call on, to go, oh yeah, I want to feel a bit more grounded. Well, maybe do that spell work or that project or something when it's starting on an earth sign. And, you know, Taurus isn't the only earth sign. There's also Capricorn and let me see. Oh, yes, of course, and Virgo. So, you know, and then same thing, the energetic of the air signs. So like Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, those are like the signs that are related with air. But air is like this mutable, ethereal, floaty type of thing. The energetic of air is often associated with communication, talking, idea generation, brainstorming, which can be really cool for helping you see through any blocks or seeing new ways that you couldn't see before. So that can be, if you want to pull in that air type of energy, you can call in, kind of cross look on the calendar and see when is there an air sign, and I could do that type of work that brings in possibilities, that oxygen, that breath of fresh air that can help kind of move things in that type of way. All of the signs, I think, have energy for movement. It's just at different speeds and different ways, because the downside to air signs can also be very distracted, hard to contain it, so it can just kind of go off and off and off and off, all of that. So to know that. And then we have the water signs, and that's Cancer and Pisces and Scorpio. So the energy of water is that beautiful one of flow. Water is so strong in very interesting ways, but it has a hard time. It's difficult to put up a block. I mean, yes, we've engineered dams and stuff that contain water in, but in general, if it's like rocks or whatever, water will just carve its way around and will just keep moving. So water has this beautiful energy of momentum, but it also has this soft, soothing, healing quality. I mean, if you take a bath at all or enjoy swimming, you can feel very held and caressed by the water and see how nurturing it is. And we have so much water on our planet, so much water in our bodies, that it is this, moving, beautiful, natural aspect of just life. And it is a life-sustaining energy. I mean, all of the elements are actually life-sustaining energies. Water is often associated with the flow of emotions too, that heart type of energy, that very nurturing type of flow. And so it can be lovely to do any, heart magic, anything about the feelings or relationships. Maybe you'd want to consider doing it on a water sign. There's so many different ways to look at things, because the planets can also line up with different days of the week. So I would say don't overwhelm yourself, and don't force it. See what comes naturally. I mean, definitely feel free to experiment if there's something that resonates with you. But as somebody who, I don't like stagnation personally, just like an aversion of mine is I don't like to postpone starting, because that can just feed into bad energies for me, in that sense of I might not ever get started then. So, if I'm thinking like, oh, a great time to do that would be at this full moon, and it's several months away, and that doesn't seem realistic, I'm like, or I could just do it now because I'm feeling the energy internally now. So don't be dogmatic. Don't feel over dictated by these energies. But if it seems to work for you, that's something else that you could call on, is tuning in a bit to the different sort of astrological signs and their elemental correlation, and even their planetary correlation. And just to know that as the moon is changing in its size, it's constantly passing through these signs. Well, it's changing the element too, with each sign. And so that's kind of an interesting thing to go, oh yeah, we're consistently cycling through these 4 elements, of earth, air, fire, and water. And are you feeling those at balance in yourself, with earth? Not only do I think about the grounded energy I talked about, but I also think about the physical body that can connect to work, making money, all of that sort of stuff, the physicality of life. And that I work with the elements a lot because I also read tarot. So that is like the suit of pentacles. The fire is that sense of passion, the driving force, that focus energy, just wanting to get things going and kind of keep them going. But it's definitely that spark, it's very primal, not a lot of logistics to it. Air is somewhat opposite of that. It's lots of logistics, pre-thinking, pre-planning, strategizing how things would go. So it's often the thinking, the communicating, wanting that type of clarity, and it can be new thoughts. Water's connected to that heart energy, the feelings. Like, how does this feel? Does this feel right? Does this feel good? Wanting that nurturing energy, that love and compassion, and there's space for all of those to flow together, and hopefully they're all flowing within you. And you don't have to have that idea of balance, but just sort of acknowledging and seeing, are they all there? Are you cultivating a relationship with all of them? And when you work with the moon and are tuning into those ever changing energetics and that type of flow, you are also working with these other forces, these elements and everything, and you can make that more conscious as seems fitting for you. So I just wanted to do a video on that, just to bring up those types of energies, because they're also at play. As I've mentioned a couple times, astrology is not my big strong suit. It's not something I've studied super deeply, but I do work with the elements deeply, and I'm starting to deepen into astrology a bit more. But just wanted to touch on some basics, because it can just be nice to have a little bit more of information in case something is sparking for you, that you have that to see what it awakens within you. Anything comes up for you, any questions or comments, just let me know. You can even message me directly at kat@tamingthetangle.com. Thank you.